Hi everybody, it's Crazy. It's Wednesday, and it's time for the Learned Experience video. We're up to episode number 32. But before I get started, gotta give a shout out to my trusted, because you guys rock. To my Crazy fam, love you guys. And to my patrons, thank you for your support. Alright, so we are working out of a book called, where is it? Automate the Boring Stuff with Python. I've been working on this book for a little while. If you check up any of the episodes, you'll find out that I've been working on this book for quite a bit of time. I'm up to time, chapter 15, which deals with keeping time, scheduling tasks, and launching programs. So let's go on over here to page, get my mouse, there we go, 335, which is the beginning of chapter 15. I finished up chapter 14 last week. So this chapter talks a lot about time, and that time. Where's it at? There it is. Okay, the Unix Epoch. Okay, some people say epic, some people say epoch, but epoch, either way, is a time reference commonly used in programming, which started on 12 a.m. on January 1st, 1970. A coordinated universal time. Okay, and this is known as the UTC. Okay, the time date or the time function returns a number of seconds since that moment as a float value. Okay, so that's basically what that is. I thought it was pretty cool because I did not realize that the time function actually had a set time that it gets its information from. I thought that setting the time, you actually set the time yourself, and then it goes from that point, from the time you set it to the to continue. I guess you can set it, but that's not an object at this point. So you can actually just import time and hit time, and it will tell you what the time is from that date till now. Okay. Now let's see. Well, that was just saying time, but see, he called it on February 27th, 2015. Okay, and at roughly 7 p.m., 7:05 p.m. Okay, so each date changes, so this book is not going to have the exact same time, so that's what this little note was for. Then I got into this, which is, there we go, let me switch over to that. So I got to this, and I've got them kind of commented out right now because I didn't want to have to run the program and then find out, that it's running everything. But I learned a little bit, and it tells you basically you can do all kinds of stuff, with time. And you can have a start time, you can have an end time, you can have sleep time. They even have sleep, time.sleep, which actually makes it to where you actually pause, the program from actually reading until after a certain amount of time. And I recognize that because in my game, GTA Z, golly, it's been a while. GTA Z, I sat there and I used a time function to give it pause, give the zombies pause before they recognize you from a certain distance. And so I get the sleep function. You want it to pause for a certain moment, so that way it's not instantaneous. And so you can do rounding numbers, and that's what I got to so far over here. So we just, I always do the wrong one. I don't know why. So I got through that. Went through the sleep function. I just went through that. Now I got into rounding numbers, and you can round numbers in time. That's pretty cool. You can round it to the second digit, which would be these two digits here, 4 digits, and just now. So that would be this here without any digit, without the decimal point, so no floating point. So that's kind of cool. Then I go into the project called Super Stopwatch, which is on, bring it up, Super Stopwatch. Okay, for the I always put these in here because it actually, when I go back to look at it, I can read that and go, oh, okay. So it kind of helps me soak it in a little bit more. writing stuff down and reading it does help you remember it. Python programming and a lot of programming, it's a little bit harder to do so because of the fact that you're so used to doing with the keyboard. You know, you're most of the time doing this, and you're not really paying attention to what you're reading. You're just trying to get it in there. And a lot of times when you're learning that, it's a little bit harder. So, anywho, without any further ado, so I built the program. It ran great. I was happy with it, and I learned quite a bit about the time and how to get it to, how you can go from your last time to, or from a start time. You can get your lap time. How many lap numbers there are. So as the program runs, you can go through so many laps by just hitting enter. And it actually has the sleep timer in there somewhere, if I remember correctly. But I'm not going to go too far into it because I'm trying to get through this kind of quick tonight. The date time module, date time module. Now this one here's one that got me because I was sitting there trying to figure out what DT meant when people would put DT, and they put the date time in there, and I never understood it, and I thought it was something that you set, but it's actually part of that, part of the whole scenario. You're putting in the date time that you want to put, that you want to have specific to it. Okay, and then after that, it uses that, and it kicks through each one. You can use DT hour, DT minute, DT seconds. I mean, this right here is a neat function I didn't even know, and you can even put a front timestamp on there. That's pretty cool. Then I went to time delta, which kind of confused me a little bit, but I do understand it. It's using a delta time instead of date time, well, in this case, time delta. But you can't use DT again. DT. People would get so confused. I was just confused at regular DT. Okay, and then it goes into a for example to calculate the date 1,000 days from now. You can use date time and get that, uh, and time delta in order to get those, that particular 1,000 days. I got examples of adding, subtracting, and multiplying and dividing time delta objects, which was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it. I still kind of a little bit, hazy on a lot of the time stuff, but I actually got a better grip on it than I had before. When I first started doing, date time and stuff like that, trying to, get everything to work in time, I didn't realize that this is what it was referring to. I just thought it was just something that somebody made up. Hey, DT, we're going to name it DT because it's, data time or something. I didn't know it was date time. So now I know. You got string f time, and those directives use, these, and that's what they're used for, which is pretty interesting. So you can actually just calculate them, set them in this, and it'll put it in that format, which I think is pretty cool. Converting strings into the date time objects. The P in the name of the string P time, or what I just said, strip time, stands for parse. So your string parse time. Okay, so that's pretty neat, but I still like strip part time better. Review of Python's time functions. I copied this down because I like to go over reviews and read them a few times, and since I put it in the program, when I'm looking at it, I can actually go through it and reread the whole thing, and it kind of helps me understand it a little bit more. Then I get into multi-threading. Multi-threading is a lot of fun. I think it can be very interesting. Let's see, is it the demo? Yes. I believe that's the one. Yes. Okay, so that's on 347. 347. We'll catch right on up there. Just so you can see that we are on multi-threading now. And it says to introduce the concept of multi-threading, let's look at an example situation. And it shows you just a standard, way of doing it, and then it shows you how to do a threaded one. Now, this one will say, okay, it'll go to sleep for 5 seconds, and then it'll print this. But it'll first print this, then it's going to print this, then it's going to say wake up, because you used a multi-thread. It's using two at the same time. It's like they said, it's like putting two fingers on a board and you're following it down to the end. One will get there first, and then the other one finally comes through. Well, the more you have, the more you go. But it can get strenuous if you don't, use them wisely. That's what the book says. Then I got to. Oops, I always hit the wrong number sometimes. Passing arguments to the thread's target function, which was, to me, when I did this, it seemed more work to put all this in there in the thread in the target, target print, and then putting in the args and then putting in this. It would just make sense just to put in this, right? Or I'm sorry, wrong one. This one right here, just printing off the cats, dogs, and separating them out with and. But if you want it to run like, the small dog runs, you want it to go in that order, but yet you put dogs for, last and runs first. You got to be able to have it pop up. So it was just a good example of using threading, and I started to understand that, okay, the argument is just putting that in there, but you're targeting that print function first, and you put this in as all this stuff in here. Well, actually, I'm sorry, this stuff right here as an argument. Okay, you put that in as args, so it makes sense. Then I got to concurrence issues. It says, multiple threads can also cause problems called concurrency issues. To avoid concurrency issues, never let multiple thread read or write at the same variables. Okay? Now, what that means is don't give your variables, the same as you're going down. They have to read separately. They got to be something completely different. You can't have dogs, and have it multi-reading it, because it'll cause problems. When creating a new thread object, make sure its target function uses only local variables in that function. This will avoid hard-to-debug concurrency issues in your programs. Okay? So the whole idea to that is, you don't want to, you want to keep them all in the local scope and not in the global scope. Okay, and they got a beginner's tutorial at No Starch, this right here, if you're interested into looking into multi-threading. Multi-threading is kind of interesting because, most newer computers have multiple threads, and it's the same concept, except for you're doing it programmatically. Programmatically? Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? So, with that, it says, I ended in the middle of page 350. I'm going to come over here and go to 350. And then I'm going to switch over to that one. And this is the project multi-thread, the XKCD downloader. Now, I don't think I got that far. Yeah, I didn't get that far. I started doing it, and I didn't really have time to finish off. I've got up to the first to do, I think. Yeah. Okay, so, and we'll switch back over to that real quick. Oops. That real quick. This is what I got up to. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of bad events happen this past month. October has not been a good month for me at all. We had a whole bunch of things happen, so I really didn't get as much. I was kind of hoping to be done with 15 this week, but as you see, I only got probably about halfway through it. I believe. Let's see. Chapter 16 starts on 361, so I was about 10 pages away from being at the end of it, which is probably about the end of this right here. But nonetheless, that's about as far as I got. Your input and feedback and advice, always welcome in the comments, or hop on over to the server and say, crazy, hey man, what's going on? Let's talk about this. Tell me what I got wrong. If you think I got something wrong on this, let me know. I need information. Information helps. If you think I'm doing a good job, let me know. Say, hey, crazy, I like how that video turned out. Or, hey, crazy, what are you doing? let me know. I would be happy. With that being said, I think that would be about it for this week's video. Stay tuned Friday for the Oops video if you are on that list. If you're not, check in the description, become a patron, and help me out. And you get to see all the videos I've made on Oops, which is my big project. I'm slowly but surely building up and building into something. For those people who do have, have that link and can get that link, you understand what I'm talking about. For those that, don't and would like to, check out my Patreon page. Help me out so I can help you. All right? Till next time.